I tell you, when you feel like you're working on something you love, you're always usually in the best spot. Maybe you don't understand what the end game is, but you're in a sweet spot emotionally. When you're happy, it's the greatest place to work. I mean, the problem with being an artist, and I don't try to refer to myself as that, is that we also have to face life of looking outside ourselves and seeing other people get really successful. And we're over here doing what we really love, and then this jerk off over here is like really successful, making something you can't quite understand, and you think, how much does he make? And so you can't help in your life artistically but almost get jealous. You can almost get jealous, and you got to try to avoid that. You got to say, wait a second, I know what I'm about, and I know what's out there, I know what's popular. Why can't I be popular? I think if you stay in the pocket of what you love, you will serve yourself just a lot better. And really, I think the quality of men and women you surround yourself with is a big difference, because you can be around a really talented person who doesn't also feed you, morally or intellectually or whatever, and you just go, look, I want to also be around good people. I mean, one of the things for my band is that they're all going to be around my children and my wife, and they are all really good men. They're phenomenal musicians. So, it's not a kind of a, whatever, but I think you know where I'm going with this. I do think that the quality of man, woman you're around is a big difference in your life.
I've got one more. This one's just for me, though. How do you manage your travel schedule and being a working filmmaker, working musician, and being a father?
Yeah, well, all those things work with the film, to be honest, because I take my family with me when I do film. The bus has been a lot harder to deal with music. Okay, so as much as I want them to be with me, the bus is dangerous for a 5, a 3, and a 2-year-old. And so what's happened is that's caused me to, because my wife's been really good about wanting me to do it. I have to in turn think, wait a second, I can't be away that long. So I've had to balance the way probably somebody who wants to build a career doesn't balance. I mean, our band really could be booked 250, 300 nights out of the year. It just could. I know it, but we don't do that. So how do I manage it? I'm kind of down to as long as I'll go out as 14 days. And that's it. And even that seems long. So our chances of being really successful are very limited, because I have to walk between the raindrops of my life doing a lot of different things. But the idea of making music was how this started, and I'm really happy and proud of the music we've been able to make to this day. I'm happy that when we play live, we hold an audience with our own songs. And if you think that's easy, you ought to try it. Well, you don't have to wait for permission. It's like you can't play a baseball game by yourself, but you can actually shoot baskets by yourself. You can't really, make a movie by yourself, but you can do a song by yourself. And, the thing about music is I can be with my friends and we can make music, and there's some kind of bond that comes with just being in the room together, and it's maybe it's even more basic than that. Maybe it just goes back thousands of years into our DNA, which is when you make music together, there's a thing. We all know that when guys get together, start hitting the drums at night, it taps into that. I think there's linkage to that idea of playing music, talking, telling stories, and it's not about fighting, right? You're playing music, so. I get a lot just from the camaraderie. I mean, sometimes when the guitars are set down, the discussions that come out of it are just very satisfying too. And you usually kind of at some point go, hey, what have you been working on? And they kind of go, well, kind of this, and they go, well, do it, And it's like, and everybody goes, hey, there's that level of confirmation, that comes. What, I don't consider myself a great musician. I sincerely don't. I play my guitar like a drum. I'm played by myself. The band is, in Nashville. It's in Tucson. And I picked up the guitar 6 years ago. And I started learning it on my drives to work. I went and bought myself a little mini Martin so I could play it in the front seat, and the poor driver had to hear me learn. And I would put my songs that we were writing in the glove compartment, and I would just play. And it was pretty awful for about the first month and a half, and then that little thing starts to happen. And my guys play constantly, and I'm never going to be our rhythm guitar player. I'm never going to even be our lead guitar player. But I have to hear myself play because that's how I practice. I have to, and when I write, and so it's half musical instrument, it's half drum for me. So it's really a tool for me more than even an instrument in a way. It's such a musical tool. I was around music the way most people were. You and I both talked about being in a Baptist church, so music's a pretty big part of that. So the piano, the whole thing, all the different, the Christmas, the Easter, the songs, and my mom was in the choir. My grandmother was the choir leader. She played the piano. So music was around me. I took formal lessons for piano for 3.5 years, all classical, and was not allowed to play outside the lines of what that was. And boy, that was like fingernails on a chalkboard to me, to be looking out the window playing classical music, If I'd have played a rock and roll song on a piano and a girl would have sat next to me, I'd have never given it up. Well, mentor, we're talking like teacher. I've talked to you about my formal thing. I don't really recall a teacher so much as I began to understand harmonies, singing in another key, not just carrying the lead. When I began to understand that, I understood, how beautiful music could be. And growing up in the 60s, we saw it all take place. I was listening to, the Four Seasons and the Association and the Doors at the exact same time, and then the great two people, then it was like James Taylor and Carole King, and then there was everything that I actually started, which was Motown. So the kind of music was you just couldn't turn on the radio without almost hearing a different tribe singing. There was all these camps of music, and it wasn't competitive and it wasn't hostile. It was just what was coming out of people, And then there was the Simon and Garfunkel, the two people groups, I know it sounds so basic, the two people groups, but you saw a lot of that, Loggins and Messina. There was a lot of different presentations, and 50, 60 years later, you still don't see a commercial without some music that's coming out of the 60s. It's just true, and somebody goes, oh, you guys just can't let go of the music in the 60s, can you? There's been a lot of great music since then, and certainly there has. Incredible music. But if you think about that, even in today, that music, so not so much mentored, but influenced pretty heavily melodically. Our band's pretty melodic, and I think, pretty structured songs. So I'm influenced that way. We're certainly not a jam band.